This is not going to be your standard, like, boring, talking about different classes kind of video. No. This is going to give you perspective so that you can ask yourself the right questions so that as you go into this year, you're able to know, one, should I even be considering applying this year? And two, if I am in a position to potentially apply well this year, what should I be leaning on? What should I be focusing on so that I can give myself a phenomenal shot of getting into PT school?
Turning dreams into reality in the lab with the...
Hey, what is up? How you doing? Welcome to another Pre-PT Grind YouTube video. My name is Joseph Ngugi. I am a physical therapist. I'm also one of the co-founders of Pre-PT Grind, where we help you get into physical therapy school without wasting time or money. And listen, in this training, I want to talk about whether or not you should be applying to PT school in 2022. This is the first training that we are releasing in the new year. So let's talk about it, because there's a lot of pre-PTs that are going to watch this. Maybe it's you and are like, man, like, should I apply this year? Well, my friends are applying this year. Should like that's what we're gonna figure out together. And to be honest, this is not going to be your standard, like, boring, talking about different classes kind of video. No. This is gonna give you perspective so that you can ask yourself the right questions so that as you go into this year, you're able to know, one, should I even be considering applying this year? And two, if I am in a position to potentially apply well this year, what should I be leaning on? What should I be focusing on so that I can give myself a phenomenal shot of getting into PT school? So let us dive in. So one of the first things that I want to kind of, obviously state is, just because everyone else is applying doesn't mean it's your time to apply. Does that make sense? So here's why I say that. The reason why I say that is because one thing that we like to share with our students that we have coached or students that reach out to us is the fact that there's only one entity that matters when it comes to you getting into PT school. It is not your family members. It is not your advisor. It is not your friends. It's not your classmates. It's not your peers. It's not other pre-PTs. It is the physical therapy schools that you are applying to. They're the ones that are making the decision. Your friends are not making the decision. So why do I say that? I say that because a lot of times as students, we're usually looking at everybody else. We're like, okay, my peers are applying. Now we start like falling into FOMO. It's like, oh, I'm gonna miss out, or I don't want to be the person that's older than everybody else. I don't want to be the person that has to wait another year. Like we let the fears of how we will look to other people basically get in the way, or we just basically don't know what we're doing. So we're like, hey, let me just apply now, right? And so what that does is this: one, you end up guessing a lot, and two, usually a lot of the first waves of rejection, like when students reach out to us and they're like, hey, I've already applied before and I got rejected, is usually because of that. They were not sure what they were doing or what their game plan should have been, and they were basically following what everyone else did. So because of that, I'm telling you right now, do not apply to PT school just because everyone else is applying. You want to apply to PT school because you know it's the right time to apply. Now, like I said, I didn't want to go through all the boring kind of detailed stuff, but yeah, some of the basics are the fact that to apply to PT school, you at least have to be past your junior year, depending on how you took your prereqs. Obviously, definitely most students have their bachelor's degree by the time they're applying, and so you want to make sure that you've kind of hit all the stats and stuff like that. But here's the biggest thing after the basics, which we've done other videos on. After the basics, here's how you really know whether it's time for you to apply to PT school or not. The first thing you want to do is, remember, the only people that matter, or the only entity that matters, is the school you're applying to. So you want to be able to say, hey, what do the schools desire? What do the schools want? And can I deliver on that? Does that make sense? So for example, if I know what my stats are, if I know, GRE grades, all that stuff, whatever, and I have the schools that I am going to apply for, I can actually look into the future. Let's say you're watching this in January. Let's say you're watching this in March or April, whatever. I can actually say, hey, what are the requirements that this school has? And can I anticipate where I will be by the time I submit my application? Will I meet that or not? Start asking yourself those just really simple questions, but most of us don't ask them. So how do I know? Well, whenever you apply to PT school and you get an instant rejection, that usually means that there's certain things that were non-negotiables for the school that you overlooked, or you may have not realized were actually important to the school. So you want to start anticipating those things. Like if you can start doing that, now you're able to say, okay, cool. Dang, well, so what can I control? What can I change? What can I adjust? How can I become an irresistible applicant to that program? What classes can I retake? Who do I need to put myself around? What do I need to shift? And to be honest, it's also going to be one of the best ways to realize, yo, I might actually need another year. I might actually have to apply the following cycle, right? Which is perfectly okay. But I'll repeat a statement here that I think is important in this instance to realize is that the best way is always the fastest way, right? So I think a lot of times when we're trying to make sure that we it's like, well, I want to get in this year. I want to get there. I want to be with my classmates, or I don't want to be too old, or whatever narratives we tell ourselves. We try to look for shortcuts to get into PT school as opposed to saying, hey, what's the best way to become the best possible applicant for the schools that I am planning on applying to, right? And am I even choosing the right schools? That's a whole different conversation. But what's the best way? If the best way is for me to delay a year so that I can become an irresistible applicant, then that's the best way. Why force the agenda? But if the best way is for me to retake classes, if the best way is for me to actually get help with certain things, if the best way is to change the environment I'm in so I can actually focus, if the best way is for me to actually learn how to actually deal with certain other things like anxiety and whatnot, and actually work with someone so I'm not losing days at a time or weeks at a time. Y'all, you have to start being real with yourself. And then once you've laid that out, ask yourself, will I be able to deliver by the time the application cycle comes? Because if the answer is yes, then this is your year. Let's go get it. If the answer is no, then that's perfectly fine. Like you can still apply the following cycle, but let that be your determining factor. And then whenever you when you clarify what you got to do, then execute on it. Like put in the work. Ask yourself, who do I need help? Like be okay with asking for help. I think a lot of times we're scared to ask for help. Be okay with that. And then lean in hard on that strategy, lean in hard on that game plan, and let it take you where it's supposed to take you, because you did it the right way. You did not get swayed or steered by what other students are doing, what other pre-PTs are doing in their journey. And that's it, y'all. So if you're asking yourself, should I apply to PT school in 2022? That is the blueprint. Now, if you decide, hey, it actually makes sense for me to apply to PT school this year, then we have a training where we teach you how to do that. It's called the 2022 PT School Acceptance Method Masterclass. We literally show you the blueprint that we have used to get hundreds of our students that we've coached into PT school, regardless of low GPAs, being non-traditional, being rejected to a whole bunch of different programs. Like we teach you what they did differently. And if that's what you want, if you want the clarity and the direction, then go to this link. Go to leveluptheprept.com. leveluptheprept.com, and we will take great care of you. We will make sure we give you everything you need. And then after that, you just have to ask yourself, am I willing to do what I have learned? I hope that was helpful. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us. We got you. Kill it. Happy New Year.